So I started this channel off in 2016, January 2016, and I started it off by doing 3D prints. So printing this kind of stuff, 3D prints. And I wasn't really in front of the camera either. I actually had a GoPro set up, filming the 3D printer as a time lapse of some music, and that was it. I don't think I even spoke to camera on the first few 3D print videos that I did. And then I got a drone, and then I started to interact a little bit more. So the original idea for the channel was it was going to be gadget and tech reviews as well as how-to videos. You know, how to fix your laptop, how to speed your laptop up, you know, sort of reviews of mobile phones, tablets, drones, 3D printers, and all the kind of like gadgets and tech that go around those. And in doing that, every time I made a video, I worked out how to make it slightly better. And then it wasn't too long before 4K, you know, seemed to be the way everyone was going. So I wanted to get a 4K camera. And then the ability to have a microphone port on the camera was massively important. So you could, you know, have your own audio, video, everything all in one device. You know, no separate recording, no echoey rooms or anything like that. So yeah, that was done, which meant a camera and then you know, a fancy microphone somewhere and things like that. And then that moved into, well, if you're going to do that and you're going to do product shots, then you need another camera to do product shots, surely, because you can't use the big camera to do product shots. And then product shots turn into sliders, sliders turn into dollies, dollies turn into motorized dollies that turn into motorized sliders that turn into gimbals that turned into different cameras, and then it turned into a friend of mine saying, you need to get rid of that, what did he call it, a bridge camera, and get a proper camera that you can change lenses on, so you can buy better lenses, because the better lenses will improve what you're showing and things like that. Before I knew it, I was spending thousands of pounds on equipment to make videos that no one really watched. I think the first real big video is still my biggest video on this channel, and that's my review of the Samsung Gear Frontier. That was filmed actually on the bridge camera with some very basic kind of shots. It was filmed with the motorized slider to do slidey pass shots and stuff like that. But anyway, I was convinced that, you know, change your camera to one that you can change the lenses on, that's going to be great. Strange enough, my friend at the time also said, and I'm getting rid of my camera, so it'd be an ideal time for, like, you know, to make it an easy transaction for him, and I get a deal on a camera with a few different lenses, which I did, and that turned out to be this Sony a6400. And hand on heart, yeah, fantastic camera, and the lenses that he gave me now, fantastic, very arty shots through it. The background suddenly became clearer, there was no fuzziness, no kind of you know, graininess to it or anything like that. So obviously it's better in low light. I know that now, I didn't then. Then we moved on to studio lighting and stands, light stands, mic stands, different tripods, Manfrotto tripods because they've got fluid heads, and all these things just mounted up, and they were all costing a lot of money. And I was just as stupid. I spent more time following YouTubers talking about camera gear than I did looking at the tech that I was looking at, which led me into thinking that, you know, buy the best camera. So obviously then the a6500 came out, which had inbuilt image stabilization, so obviously that was better. Supposedly didn't overheat like the a6300 did when you're doing 4K, because, you know, 4K is important. I bought the a6500 brand new, sold the a6300, and, you know, carried on. And one thing I started to actually see out of all this was that, yes, it's great to have a lovely image that isn't grainy. It's great to also have an image that the focus isn't changing on all the time, especially I gesticulate a lot and that causes problems with focus. But yeah, buying external monitors to keep an eye on whatever it is you're doing. Monitors over there, and then you're looking over there and people are like, why don't you look at the camera instead of your flip out screen or whatever. All those things you learn as you do these YouTube videos. I wasn't, because I kept changing my camera so often. And ultimately from the a6500 I changed my camera again. I went to a GH5 because it does 4K 60 frames a second, because obviously everyone needs that. And supposedly its inbuilt image stabilization was even better, so much so you didn't need a gimbal. So I didn't need the gimbal I bought, you know, that was the idea. Yeah, the GH5 was very good and its images were very stable, especially doing video. But what you would get then is if you're trying to pan across something, because the electronic kind of monitoring of that stabilization system meant that if that was in the middle of your screen, the GH5 system would kind of lock onto it and then stabilize around it. So you could move your camera up around and it'd look really stable. But if you moved and kept panning, it'd try and keep locked onto this bit over here until the very last moment, and then it'd go phew. And you're thinking, that's no good. You can't work with that. You can't have a camera where you're trying to pan and it looks like you're going The GH5 produced some great images, no doubt about it. Put it on a tripod, went to do the Tour de France and all that was filmed on the GH5. And you can slow people down. You can slow a cyclist that's traveling 40 miles an hour past you. You can stop frame by frame and everything's in focus. But I make maybe 2 videos a week for YouTube that involve me being here. I think it was like the first morning in San Francisco, going, changing the lenses, trying to do this with the big bulky GH5. I put it back in the suitcase and carried around, walking around with the LX15, and I filmed the rest of that trip, pictures and video on the LX15, as well as 360 camera and my smartphone I had with me. And that really annoyed me. It's like, why have you got this $3 grand's worth of camera set up if you're going to use a few £100 point and shoot? I make travel videos predominantly, if anything else, so I thought, well, I'll sell the GH5 and I'll see how the LX15 does in the studio. And it did okay. Used it for maybe 2-3 videos. But again, like all the other ones, the Achilles heel of it is you can only record for so many minutes. The LX15 shut off after 22 minutes, didn't tell you. No like ding, no messages, no beeps or nothing. So not only was I noticing the grain came back in my videos, but the crop factor on 4K was horrendous. Really, probably like over 20-30% crop factor on 4K, which meant I stopped doing 4K, went down to HD, which has helped my workflow. No one's noticed, so I don't know I'll do 4K anymore. No one's noticed for the last maybe 15 videos I've put out that they're not in 4K. So that's kind of like where we're at until a few weeks ago. iPhone Do, whichever way you want to say it, reviewed the a6400. Inbuilt image stabilization wasn't great on any of the other Sonys, so the fact this hasn't got it makes it cheaper, so that's fine. The flip out screen on the back is absolutely fantastic, especially in daylight, and with the use of this little microphone on the side, now I have a way of capturing great audio. I can see myself, it's not in any way obscured by a big microphone on top. The microphone comes out the side, so that's great. Battery life on it is at least 30% better than I've noticed on the 6300 or the 6500. You press record and it records. You have to watch obviously the battery and things like that, but like I say, I've got loads of batteries left over, which means I can just get my entire spiel out, get it all in the right order, go over it again, say something, realise I said it wrong, do it all, just one take, and then just edit the heck out of that one bit of video, and it's done. It doesn't run out mid-sentence. I don't have to go back and think, what did I say? I understand there's this weird video export tax ability time law. It's absolutely brilliant at focusing. I would rather vlog to a GoPro knowing I'm in focus with everything else than vlog to a camera that's hunting for focus all the time, makes people want to vomit, or locks onto something and makes me out of focus all the time. The second thing is, I can see myself now with the flip out screen. That's good. And if I look at the screen and look at the lens, look at the screen, look at the lens, there isn't that much difference, whereas a side flip out screen, there is. The price of it, £1,000. It's a lot of money, I get that, but this is pocketable. It came with a 16-50 lens, which to me is perfect. If I'm using it in selfie mode, it gets me in. If I'm traveling around, it gets a nice wide vista. So with Sony's clear zoom on there, that's like a 2x zoom, lossless quality 2x zoom, which means that the 55 turns into a 110. So So it's kind of like a telephoto. So that one lens, which is optically stabilized, is great, but it still gives soft bokeh in the background. You look in the background now and you see the lights. And that's why I've ended up with the a6400, because for me, it's the perfect camera. So that's my little mini review over and done with, and a little story about my cameras. I've recently changed my studio lighting. I've got rid of an awful lot of junk and simplified that as well. So I might do a review of that another time, given the fact that, you know, this channel's turning into a camera gear review channel rather than a gadget and technology channel. If you've got any suggestions about a6400 best settings and all that kind of stuff, then, you know, then just let me know in the comment section down below. But for now, take care, and I'll catch you on the next video. See you again now. Bye.
Yeah.